Hello everybody, welcome on in. Today I'm sharing my Musket and Rapier PvP build. Musket is a weapon that has undergone a ton of changes in these past few patches, and well, I wanted to see how Musket feels to play nowadays. I decided to put together a very trap-heavy Musket build and play more of a close to medium range fight style with it with Rapier, and it really surprised me. This build has crazy high burst damage. Sticky bomb combos are no joke, and they add 5 to 6k damage on crit with this build when you use that combo. Absolutely insane burst potential. On top of it, Musket, I think, is maybe the fastest weapon in the game. I wasn't really aware of this before, but accelerating traps on Musket is borderline broken. With the Musket roll, that's 43% haste on demand. No other build in the game can come even close to that kind of a movement speed buff on demand. I have yet to fight anything that can keep up with me on this build. I am not even kidding. This is the fastest build that I have ever played. And to top it all off, this build is still durable enough to actually be a viable close-range fighter. I really like it. Musket really surprised me, guys. If you want to see some gameplay footage of this, there is a ton at the end of this video, as well as previous videos that I have uploaded of this build in action. And on top of it, if you guys want to see a written guide to this build, you can find it on my website, pvpnewworld.com. Now, let's take a look at that build. Starting off with the attribute points. Playing Musket and Rapier, they both scale primarily from dexterity, secondarily from intelligence, but I've gone for the 150-214 split. The reason for this is the increase in elemental damage that the intel gives us. This is a huge deal for Rapier damage and pretty nice for the Musket damage. Lots of people are running LE aversion and lots of people are running high thrust resist, so Musket in general is built against for the most part, but changing the damage to elemental, I think, is better than not having it elemental damage. If you didn't want to go for the elemental split, I would actually recommend going for just 50 intel and then maybe dumping 300 plus into dexterity. But let's talk about that one that everybody's talking about. 150 constitution on a Musket build. Musket has changed a lot as a weapon in the past few patches, and yeah, 150 con because we're actually using this build as an up-close fighter. This is an up-close Musket build, and you want to have at least enough health so that you can take some combos from enemy players. And of course, that 150 critical damage reduction is a huge deal. So let's take a look at the gear that I'm running on this build. To start off with my Rapier, I've got Rogue, Chain Lightning, and Keenly Jagged. This is almost best in slot. If you swapped out Chain Lightning for Attunement, this would be such a nice Rapier. And the dream Rapier for this build, I think, would be something like Rogue, Omnidirectional Evade, and Attunement. Yeah, can't go wrong with something like that. The general rule of thumb with Rapier is you want to have as many dots and extra effects ticking as possible because that will help you return more stamina with your Rapier passives. And I also have the Augmented Electrified Gem on here, again changing some of the damage into lightning damage. People don't build against that, and LE aversion will not reduce incoming lightning damage. So this is a very, very big deal for your melee attacks with the Rapier. And of course that dot, again, you want to have that stam sustain from it, so it's a very big deal. And then taking a look at the Musket, I've got the same gem on here, 40% of the damage to lightning, plus that lightning dot. You could go for a different dot on the Musket if you wanted. I actually would maybe recommend doing that instead of having both lightning dots, but honestly, it's not the biggest deal. You don't lose that much damage. And that's simply because these two dots won't stack together. They count as the same damage over time when you hit the opponent. Accelerating traps, Vorpal, and Keenly Empowered. Let's talk about the best Musket for this build. I think it would be something like Keenly Empowered Enchanted Accelerating Traps or Enchanted plus Attunement Accelerating Traps. You could also put Accuracy on this build too. Since this is a close-range Musket build, Accuracy isn't the biggest deal because you're not going to be doing a ton of long-range fighting. But if you wanted to, it's always an option. But Accelerating Traps is the perk that makes this build work. 33% movement speed when you throw the trap down. You can throw 2 traps in total. This burst of movement speed plus the 10% roll on the Musket puts us almost at cap for movement speed. This is such a huge deal. There are not very many things that can stack this much movement speed, and the fact that we're going to be around 10% faster than almost every other build in the game allows us to survive things that normally you would not survive. So I cannot stress enough how much of an impact that extra movement speed that you get from the traps for having it on the Musket makes. You could run this perk on your armor if you wanted, but you won't see the same results out of your build. And yeah, it's up to the user if you want to do it, but I would highly recommend going for this perk on your musket. The Tomb Raider is a dropped musket, and this is the best one that I have access to, unfortunately, for my setup. Now let's take a look at the gear. I have got some pretty nice PvP gear on this build. I'll be honest, we got lots of freedom, Ellie aversion. We've got lots of physical aversion, shirking energy on the legs as well, and then more freedom. And of course, resilient on every single piece. Those are the perks you want, I think. Freedom, Ellie aversion, and resilient. Physical aversion is an okay stand-in. And then the gems, they are all increased lightning damage. Yeah, I wanted to stack as much lightning damage as I could. On the legs, I actually have the stamina on hit. You could go for the stam on hit for all of them too. It's kind of up to the user, but I did like the lightning damage for the additional burst. And then for the jewelry, I've got the Champion's Amulet. Health, Shirking, and Power, Stamina Recovery. Absolutely amazing for outgoing damage and survivability in PvP. And then the Heart of Aluris. This is again a dropped ring. Keen Awareness, Hardy, and Lightning Damage. Yeah, this one's pretty easy to farm, so if you want to play this build, I would highly recommend going out and farming this ring. You can look up on New World Database where you can find it. But basically best in slot because we can stack up those two damage perks, Keen Awareness and Lightning Damage. And then for the earring, Healthy Toast, Refreshing Toast, and the ideal third perk would be Regenerating for me, or maybe even Nimble for more stam sustain. And then when we take a look at the resists on this build, I have got the 9.5 slash and strike resist, 21.5 thrust resist, and 5% fire resistance. Stack it with the physical and Ellie aversion, and we've got a lot of nice resists on this build. We're basically built to reduce as much incoming range damage as possible. Now, taking a look at the Heartrune for this build, I have gone with Stone Form. I think you could run Cannon with this build because it would be a really nice combo setter with the grenade, but yeah, Stone Form plus this kind of a mobile setup, it makes it very, very hard for people to kill you. You can escape from so many different things, not to mention the fact that you can just pop Stone Form and be very aggressive, taking advantage of that heal. I really, really like this ultimate, and I'd highly recommend it for this style of play. And then taking a look at the consumables here, I just slotted the health potions, I've got the regen potions, and of course the mana pots, and this is all for that incoming healing. And last but not least, I'm actually running the powerful fire absorption potion as well. I recently got my hands on the lasting consumption bags, so yeah, the powerful fire absorption is really nice. That 12% additional fire resistance, that's going to put us around 30% thrust and fire resist on this build, which is perfect for PvP. If you want to run the more expensive version of this guy, you can do that as well. And let's take a look at the weapon mastery for this build. Starting off with the Rapier, I'm running my standard Grace with the Flourish and Finish kit. Of course, full points in Evade, the bread and butter of Rapier. You're going to be using this skill a ton. You get so much cooldown when you land those light attacks. And this is great for attacking, defending, pretty much everything. Fantastic cancel skill. And then we've got Flesh, the gap closer of choice for Rapier. Flesh is actually one of the harder hitting gap closers in this game. 145 base weapon damage and 115% damage on the interruption. And then of course you can follow that up with a light attack or an evade light attack, giving you even more damage thanks to that momentum. Very, very good skill for hunting down players or getting that killing blow. And Flourish and Finish I really like for the reach. I don't take the last 2 points because we don't have any bleeds on this build. At least Rapier bleeds that we can take advantage of. The stamina sustain on the final hit is really nice too if your stamina is out, and of course the grit. You could go for riposte on this kind of a build if you want, totally up to the user, especially since we have Musket on the back bar. We've got a ranged option, so you don't really need the additional reach from Flourish and Finish if you don't want to take it. And then for the passives, we've got the reduce all Rapier cooldowns by 1% on hit. One of, if not the most important Rapier passive, 3 stamina on any hit. That is exactly why we're stacking as many damage over time effects as we can, because that will return stamina for your Rapier. And then, of course, we got swiftness for the additional haste, and critical strikes reducing all cooldowns as well. And then we've got 2 more points here just for the damage perks. It's up to you what you want to take here. I really like the damage when your stam is low and when the opponent is above 50% health. Now, let's take a look at the Musket tree. This is a really complex tree, guys. There's a lot of thought that went into this. We are running full Trapper. Yeah, really straightforward. That's basically it. And the reason I went full Trapper is because all of these perks are really nice for Musket. So let's go over it from the start. First ability we've got here is Stopping Power. I love this skill because it doesn't require you to reload your musket to use it. You can actually do a regular shot and follow it up right away with a stopping power, roll back and get that free reload on roll and shoot the third shot. So you can get a really quick combination of shots with this ability, not to mention the fact that it staggers at a distance, knocks them back, and puts a little bit of a snare and exhaustion on them. Really, really nice for PvP. But the big thing about this is that we get the lethal combo. If anyone is affected by our Trapper Tree skills, we deal 20% additional damage against them. Stopping power is going to put that dot on them for 8 seconds, or that negative effect. So yeah, big damage boost if we land this on an opponent. You could always go for Power Shot or Powder Burn this patch. Even Shooter Stance would be an option if you want. Honestly, there are so many good options for Musket. So this is basically your flex skill if you want to take it. Now let's talk about the absolute must-have. This is the Trap. You can deploy 2 traps. They last for 20 seconds, so they last a really long time, and they have a whopping 3-second immobilize, 20% rend when they're standing in the trap. You heal for 100% of the damage done. Yeah, these traps are deadly. If someone steps in the trap and you go offensive, you're going to win that exchange. Just period. You're going to win that exchange. 100% lifesteal is insane. Not to mention the fact that the trap will give you haste. It will immobilize the opponent. This ability has so much utility for Musket. In my opinion, this is maybe one of the most utility-packed abilities in this entire game. And there are so many things we use it for in the gameplay, and we'll talk about that in the footage in a bit. And then let's talk about Sticky Bomb. I love this skill. Again, a must-have, I think, for the up-close Musket playstyle. 210% weapon damage on impact. Musket has massive weapon damage at its base value. Compared to the other weapons, it's very high weapon damage-wise. So this hits super hard. It'll stick to opponents when you hit them with it. The 3-second duration, people can dodge, so if they have good timing, they can avoid the grenade explosion, but we're able to force them to take that explosion thanks to staggers like Stopping Power or the Flourish and Finish on our Rapier bar. The bomb will also return stamina when it explodes. This is actually really nice. Not to mention it applies that cripple for 3 seconds if you hit the opponent with the bomb. So that means that you will have that additional damage bonus up from your opponent being affected by a Trapper skill, which is just more damage on that explosion. And then all of the Trapper passives here are a big deal. 10% additional damage to targets with an active crowd control status effect. All of these skills will apply a crowd control status effect. Dodging reloads the musket, perfect for this build and playstyle. Attacking a target with an active debuff will restore 5 stamina. This is maybe one of your more flexible spots, but as much stam sustain as you can get is nice in PvP. And then, of course, after the dodge, you gain 10% haste for 3 seconds. This is a big deal. Stack it with the haste that we get from traps, and that's 43% haste on demand. No other build in the game can do that. That makes you the fastest thing in the game. And then we've got Weaken Defense. Increase the stamina damage from standard shots by 50% against shielded opponents, and increase your armor penetration by 10%. This is not only great for damage, but the stamina damage of Musket is fairly high. It can do some pretty beefy amounts of stam damage to an opponent that's blocking. I have broken shield blocks with Musket shots before. I think the big thing about this is it's nice for damage, and people don't expect the stamina damage that it can do, so you can catch people off guard with it. And then we've got Empowering Weakness. Hitting an opponent with an active debuff grants you Empower, and that's just playing into all the debuffs that we have. Back it up. Walking and strafing movement speed increased by 10% when an enemy is within 8 meters of the player. This is a really good passive to have, because let's say you get in a situation where you're completely out of stamina, so you're not running, you're back in that walking movement speed, and you throw the trap down. This is going to not only give you the movement speed from the trap, but 10% additional if an opponent is close to you. And with this build, you can actually get away from melee opponents when you have no stamina, thanks to how fast this makes you. So definitely recommend that perk. And last but not least, Salt on the Wound, 10% increased damage on targets below 30% health. Fantastic for finishing off players. And there you go, guys. That is the build. Alright guys, let's jump into that PvP commentary. If you want to see some more gameplay and this isn't enough for you, I've got a couple more videos that I've recently uploaded with gameplay of this build, so you You can find it there. Starting off with this clip here, as you can see, me and a couple of players are in the enemy side here, and we engage with these enemies that come in. I get a nice shot on that guy's head as he tries to flash in, and then give him a poke with the rapier, and he ends up going down. Then I follow the mage up to the top here, try to hit him with the flourish and finish. He ends up backing up, and I throw the trap on the ground. I managed to catch him in the middle of his burnout there, and I throw another trap, but he ends up destroying it with the AoE from Incinerate. That's something you got to be aware of with the traps. There's a few tricks with the traps that I'll talk about here. But number one, opponents can destroy them, so you want to be a little sly with how you position them. I try to land a couple shots, but the bloom on Musket is not being my friend. Also, my aim isn't amazing. But I do manage to get the rapier pokes in to finish off the lower health mage there, and then these guys are just ganging up on the last one of the friendlies. A whole bunch of enemy players come in, and this is where I want to show you guys how OP the movement speed on Musket is. After picking up a couple kills in here, there's a ton of enemies now, and I decide that I don't want to be here anymore. I see them converging from every direction, and I throw the trap down, and look at this movement speed. I am able to very quickly get out of there. These guys, again, hit me with an immobilize, and I'm able to use the rapier to break that extra bit of distance. And here I make a pretty critical mistake. I do have the ultimate ready to heal myself, but I don't go for it. Honestly, I was able to escape alive after that without using the ultimate, so these guys chased me a lot. There was like 5 or 6 that chased me, and I ran for quite a bit until there were only a couple left, and a huge opening combo. In that particular combo, you saw I missed the grenade throw, but I go back over top of it, luring the melee player on top of the grenade as it explodes. I've killed a few players with that type of a combo. They don't look at the grenade if you miss it and land it on the ground. This time, I do land the grenade, but this guy ends up rolling it in time. I don't get the flesh at the right moment, a little late on it. And there you see I throw the trap down, and I take advantage of that lifesteal right away as he's in the trap. That's going to heal me up and easily allow me to absorb the damage from the sword and shield player. I hit this guy with the trap, and again, you see me kind of throw the trap at the player. If you aim upwards, the trap can actually be thrown, and if you throw it at someone's feet, it's actually pretty hard for them to avoid it. This guy goes for the flourish and finish on low health, and I'm going to hit him with a flesh really quickly to take him down. And these two other players here, they chase me for a bit, but I end up looping back into a fight. That tank is very annoying and hard to deal with, especially with the mage behind him. But either way, the moral of the story is I do escape. This combo here is beautiful. I land the grenade, go for the flourish and finish. He goes for a riposte, and I poke it, causing the riposte animation to go off, and the grenade explosion happens afterwards. He goes down. I work my way in the same OPR towards the enemy spawn, and I just start unloading on the spawner here. This guy goes for his riposte. Now that his riposte is done, I turn, huck the grenade on him, throw the trap down, and look how my health shoots up as he goes from 100 to 0. Yeah, that lifesteal is no joke, guys. No joke at all. And then this spear player spawns in just as the spawner had been destroyed. And I get a couple nice traps on him there and then go for the grenade, getting good damage on him. And whenever he moves out of melee range, I try to get some damage in with my musket. And here I make a pretty big mistake trying to throw the grenade when he's a little bit too close to me. He ends up getting good damage, and I also assumed that the grenade explosion would be enough to kill him. The last shot was enough, but that was very, very close to me dying there. And then here, a nice little setup. So I was fighting another player, and this guy ends up joining in the fight. And he hits me with the riposte. There I stick him with the grenade, and my health is super low here. Again, big crit on the grenade explosion as I go for the flesh, and he basically goes from 90% health to 10% health. Then I finish him off with the rapier poke at the end. And I keep fighting the enemy mage player that was there. There's that combo of the stagger shot into the roll and the regular shot. The stagger shot on this build can add a lot of additional damage like I talked about in the build video. So if you can land that at a distance, it gives this build a lot more viable long-range damage. But it looks like as I fight the mage, this guy ends up coming back. And this is the death sentence of the trap. He ends up gassing himself while inside my trap. And yeah, he's dead, man. He can't even turn and trade because I'm just going to out-heal him. Moving on to the next OPR fight. This one is a fantastic example of how overpowered this trap is. Here you can see I've got a bunch of different players on me, a bunch of different melees. 3 of them, I drop the trap on the ground and just go offensive. And I'm able to not only out-DPS the incoming damage, but I kill the player who's popping his ultimate there. Right away, go for a combo on the other melee player there, get great damage into him. And that right there, the trap giving me so much healing, allowing me to take that kind of a position. And the fact that your health stays high when you do those combos, I cannot stress enough. how much of an impact that is. And here you guys see Stoneform just doing work. Oh my god. Just chugging my potions, rolling with Stoneform. I still have the mobility from the trap if I need it. And here these guys come around the corner. I throw the trap down. The first one gets stuck and I heal off of him, killing him. And the other guy gets smashed by our team. And I work my way into the outpost. This is a pretty zergy fight. There's a lot of people all over the place. I start shooting at the Great Axe player. He does hit me with the gravity well. I see the player behind me. I roll out of the gravity well and throw the bomb on him. And I don't know what this guy is running, but holy crap was he squishy. He eats the bomb into the flesh. Down he goes right away. A nice big combo. And it looks like there are a lot of red players in here and just a couple of us on the walls. This guy follows me up to the wall. I do hit him with the grenade. The big thing about that grenade, man, people can't actually dodge it if they don't move out of the way. And I get great damage on this guy. Try to go for the flourish and finish. Get good damage again. And I whiff both the musket shots. Oh my god. The last one was Bloom. I don't think that was my fault. Oh, so unfortunate. I throw the grenade down again. I just go to camp my grenade, trying to pull the melees on top of it. They all start chasing me again here. I throw the trap down on the ground, and here you see my health just come back a little bit. I don't get as much health back as I wanted. I did miss a few attacks on that guy, and quickly find myself getting surrounded. I throw the trap down, this guy steps in it, and again, I can just spam my attacks, doing so much damage to him, healing myself for all the damage I do, and we had a healing circle in there too. And the healing from that trap, man, such a game changer. I try to open on this enemy mage here. I go for the flesh, hoping to finish off his pylon. Unfortunately, it died just before I hit it with the flesh, so I have to wait on the cooldown there. This guy hits me with the stagger, and I throw down the trap on the ground. This guy stands in it. I try to trade with him a little bit, but I don't get the healing that I need right away. And I throw down the second trap. I try to catch somebody in it, and I go for that exchange, and there is the really important part, making sure someone is actually in that trap when you try to go for that trade. It got really risky for me there, and the only reason I didn't die is I got saved by some healers, but I end up charging back in, just getting myself killed, and I come back for round 2, picking off a player there with my shots as I walk in. I'm almost hitting 3k crit on that guy, so yeah, that's without any debuffs from my other musket trapper abilities. So this build has some pretty decent range damage if you can set those combos, and there you go. Just finish off the other guy there. The other two run outside, and I just fast forward here until they decide to come back in. This guy steps into the trap, the second one that I throw, and he goes for his hammer move. I quickly get out of the way of that, jump on top of the mage, big damage on the flesh. He did have the grenade on him, but the archer up top just doing tons of damage, both me and him, sniping out that other guy. And I miss both shots on the healer. Oh man, he just manages to survive. But either way, we do end up flipping this outpost. And one last clip for you guys as I say goodbye. Again, if you want to see some more gameplay, there's more on my channel for you. This clip here, the enemy player follows me up top. I catch him in the trap, go for the flourish and finish. And there you see how important that lifesteal is, just ensuring that I can make that exchange. And here we go again. Catch him in the trap, and you can just see how much health I'm healing up. The only reason I can stick that combo out and then get the kill there is because I'm stealing so much health from him. And I make my way back to the middle outpost, and I'll let you guys enjoy the last bit of this fight as I say goodbye. I really like this build. Honestly, Musket might be my favorite weapon to pair with Rapier now. It has insane utility, and I'm learning more and more about how to play it. And holy crap, I'm in love with the trap and grenade combo. If you guys want to catch some live gameplay from me, you can always give me a follow on Twitch. There's a link down below. If you want to see a written guide to this build, or just check out a bunch of different PvP builds, check out my website, pvpnewworld.com. And if you have an awesome clip that you want to send in to the New World Top 5, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. This show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. They can help keep you safe on the internet, and you can get a sweet deal on your first purchase thanks to the link down below. And last but not least, a massive thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon for supporting the show. Thank you guys so much for keeping it going. Thank you everybody just for tuning in and watching. I hope you enjoyed this build. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I'll probably play it a little bit more. Have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you next time.